Art enthusiasts often consider Europe as a hub of arts and culture, but the Tanzanian city of Arusha is home to one of the biggest art galleries on the African continent, showcasing paintings and sculptures, each with its own story of Africa's history. The Cultural Heritage Centre will soon expand to have a new exhibition and gallery dedicated to nature conservation. Owner and director Saifuddin Khanbhai says the gallery should empower the artists, with the majority of the profits going to them. We caught up with him in Arusha, and this is how our conversation went. So I'm intrigued by the work that you're doing outside of the gallery, and that's right. What we potentially would call corporate social responsibility. Right. And you've talked about a number of areas. You know, you've talked about the prenatals, you've talked about the wheelchairs that you give to support. Correct. What's inspired all of this?
This has inspired me because I was born here. I'm a local boy here. And I feel it is my duty to serve the community, because all this is a depiction of their lifestyle. So that's what we are depicting here. And we are depicting not only that, we are depicting the culture, because the main point is to show people, the world, that even before colonization, how the Africans were organized. Because they used to heal themselves through different mechanisms. You can call them, I'll show you when we get downstairs, how they healed themselves, what beautification meant to them, music, wealth, you see. So it was pretty organized. So I've always been intrigued and fascinated by the African history and the culture. So that made me, because I'm an artist myself, so I've always been involved with art. I used to do boutiques and a lot more of that sort of thing.
So this was almost a natural progression for you then?
It is a natural progression, basically, I would say, yes. Because we've always had a shop in town, a small shop. If you've looked at John Wayne's movie Hatari, which was shot in Arusha, and you would see that elephant going around the store. Well, that was my original store, which I inherited. And I took
But you've obviously grown in leaps and bounds from that original store to where we are today.
I have.
What do you... I suppose the question would be the involvement or the exposure of African history to Africans themselves. It seems that there's a greater fascination of African history from foreigners than there is by Africans.
Well, that's the whole idea. You see, what it is many a times, a lot of people, the local people themselves, don't know their own history. So by creating a platform like these, okay, and this is just a scratch, because African history is so massive. I mean, it's impossible for one gallery to cover that all up. But what it is it's the inspiration. Because, you see, the new generation is more involved with more commercial aspect of things. They are more into putting the music on, is more into buying expensive cars, because you see, the whole, with the advent of television and all, a lot of culture has been pilfered. And the idea behind this is to show them how rich the Africans were through culture. And this is why the outside world is more fascinated when they look at this and they say, wow.
And we're not.
You see, because a lot of, like in the US, people have come from Ireland, they've come from wherever. You see, the sense of culture is not strong there. You get my point? Yeah. So what I'm trying to get to is, Africans have had an amazing culture, because when we get through this floor, you will understand what they believe in. You see, like African masks, for example. Okay? Well, they pick status in African culture.
And this we call the Tree of Life?
The Tree of Life. That is one of the largest piece of ebony carved from one piece of wood, which took about 40-something years to carve. So he's basically spent his whole life doing this. But, of course, he's done smaller pieces to keep him going.
And you said a piece like this would have been done by one individual?
That's correct.
Wow.
It's carved by one person, then the finishing is done by several people.
So when you talk about finishing, what are you talking about? Are you talking about the polishing?
Of the eyes. Okay. Yeah, the whole depiction of, all that is finishing. Because the carver normally doesn't do the finishing.
So what does the carver actually do himself?
He carves the whole piece. This is all one piece of wood. It's basically looking at a piece of wood and liberating the piece of wood in what he's got in his mind. That's what you're seeing here.
So what do you draw a picture for those that...
There's no picture he draws. He goes on as he carves.
So it's all up here?
It's all in the head.
So how does he share his vision with those that then complete the piece?
Well, the ones who are doing the completion is just doing the sandpapering.
Okay.
And just doing the more smoothening part of this, which he basically directs them what to do. That's what he does, yeah.
Wow.
And this is all about, again, the main African theme, whereupon people are doing different kind of activities and socially building a whole community. You see, that's the whole depiction here.
Incredible.
If you look at this, there's a wedding going on here, there's a hunting part going on here. These are all the traditional lifestyles of Africans who have lived over the years, how they've lived, coming back from the farm. So it's one carving showing the whole African lifestyle.
Is this a Tanzanian sculptor?
Yes.
And you said what
Makonde tribe.
Makonde tribe.
Makonde tribe.
So which part of Tanzania are they
Southern
from?
part of Tanzania, traditionally from, yes.
So are the majority of your pieces from Tanzania?
No. This is the whole of Africa you're looking at.
All of Africa.
The ethnographic is all of Africa. The paintings and what we're going to see upstairs is mostly from East Africa. That's what you're talking about, yes. So these are all depictions. This is a harvest spot, for example, you're looking at. Okay? In Cameroon. These are the Den mask we're looking at. Right there. So African mask played a major role in the community because it showed them status. Okay? It depicted different people. Like, for example, you use your telephone today to communicate. Before they used to do it with horns, for example, to communicate. So this is all what you're going to see in here. All the different armaments you're going to see there, for example. I mean, you need days for this. Of course, this small little segment of ours here cannot cover this.
No,
that's what it is, yes. And, that's what you're seeing here.
So do you travel much to look at other pieces, other works of art?
I used to, a lot. But now, with the technology, with WhatsApp and all, so we have agents who are looking for it, and then of course they would send us the pictures, and we would say yes or no. We have a team of curators here, of course, who would look into it. Yeah.
So what determines a particular piece that you will purchase or you will want to have in your gallery?
A lot of this is not purchased by us. Basically, they're on consignment brought in here. Yeah. So this is not a museum; it's a gallery. Understand that?
Yeah.
And what you're seeing is probably about 5% of what we have. 95% is still in the storage room.
Oh, wow.
Waiting for. But the whole thing about this is it has to fit the criteria to explain about the African culture.
Okay.
That's the criteria.
So that's what it is. It's an explanation of Africa. So you expect your pieces to tell a story?
That's what all it is about. It is all about telling the story. That's what it is. So, for example, let's say those sculptures you're looking at there, those are healing fetishes. So how do they heal themselves? Well, they used to heal themselves by basically, say you have a hurt in your hand, for example. They would put a nail on the hand of the sculpture there. Okay? That nail, what you're seeing is, they would put a nail on the head of the sculpture. They would tie a piece of rope inside here. Then they would do offerings. When the spirit enters the glass and the rope melts, they believe you've been healed. Now, you can call it psychological warfare, basically, but trust me, they've been healing themselves for hundreds of years. And healing is all about psychology. That's what it comes down to be. So, you see, this explains to you how they've been so organized, even before colonization, is that how they used to heal themselves. For example, wealth was all about the cowrie shells, what you're looking at, the beads, okay? That's what those fetishes are an important part of the spirit. For example, you're looking at. These are musical instruments, for example, you're looking at. Those are from Congo, for example. You see those guitars there? We have all different kinds of musical instruments. These are marimbas, which are from the central part of Tanzania, from Dodoma region. You saw my musicians playing outside there? So these are all the local musical instruments created by the tribe and being played. That's what it is. The djembe drum, of course, is a talking drum you're looking at. So what I'm trying to show here again is the wealth of how the African culture has been in terms of music, beautification from Dinka, Sudan, for example. They enlarge in the necks, the lips, the ears. All this is being depicted here. Because it's very difficult for any foreigner or anyone, to be honest with you, just to go and visit all these tribes. Correct, but this is the best attempt we have tried, is to bring these things here through the ethnographic stuff, to basically explain about all the different African culture.
Now, as we look at some of the other pieces, how long has it taken you to...
Oh gosh, my whole life. Which is, and I've just scratched the word A. When you go to A to Z,
oh, wow.
I don't think A I've not even moved even halfway through A. And when I die, I don't think I will have even finished the word A.
So let's talk about what you don't have, what you would like to see.
Oh, there's a lot we don't have, and a lot to do. That's what it is. But this is a good attempt to basically explain African culture. I don't think there would be anything in this world right now which matches with the collection we have here.
So
there's no question about it.
Now, obviously, from what you've been talking to us about over the last few minutes,
right.
You have an incredible vision. Now, if I was to come back to this place in 5 years,
right.
What would I see that I'm not seeing today, or what feel would I get from what you've been able to curate that we don't currently have?
Oh, you'll see a lot of the changes here, and it's difficult. I can't explain to you what you'll see in 5 years. This is why you have to come every month here to see exactly what's happening here. 5 years is too long a distance to be. But look, I mean, there's a lot happening too again here, because as I said, we are building 2 museums. We are dedicating a museum for Jane Goodall, who worked with chimpanzees here. So she's a dear friend of mine, and she has basically, spent her life towards the chimpanzees in Gombe. So it's very difficult to get to Gombe. So that's why we basically, decided that we should build a museum here. And of course, she wanted me to do this here. So yes, so I'm into a lot of wildlife conservation. I'm all about African culture. Okay, so those are my passion, basically. And of course, the wealth is we've been blessed with gemstones, which you can only find in Arusha, for example. So we want to highlight that to the world. That, we, in Tanzania, it's just not only wildlife. There's a lot more to see. We have a very strong culture here. And people need to come and sample that. And the whole thing is, my vision is to basically create this culture heritage as a destination, which is already the case. But what I'm trying to say is, people to come and stay for a couple of days here to understand what African culture is all about. What wildlife conservation, because I am very keen on making a point on wildlife conservation. And through schools, grassroots level, that's what we are trying to do here. So that's what we are working towards, yes.